Hey, Devin here, and I'm going to show you an install for this cool Apple CarPlay. It's not a head unit, it's a multimedia video interface to connect to your stock head unit and display Apple CarPlay and all the goodness that comes with it, essentially. And the reason for this is because I recently bought a 2014 Audi A4, and it's the worst thing ever. And you scroll through radio stations, you can't connect to your phone so you can listen to music. Obviously there's no Apple CarPlay or anything like that. And so since we're in the theme of doing these Apple CarPlay videos, since you guys like them so much and you're finding them useful, I figured, well, I need it, so might as well record a video of me installing it into my own vehicle. And maybe this is something that you guys end up doing instead of changing out the entire head unit. So I wanted to do something a little bit different than other videos that we've done in the past. So what I'll do in this video, I'll make it as beginner friendly as possible. I'll go over the tools that I have here. We'll get close-ups. We'll go over the unboxing, some things you might need, might not need, and all of the in-between. That way you can go through this video, because this stuff can get a little complicated, or it can invoke some anxiety, especially when you open the box. It's like, whoa, what are all these wires? And I know I don't like that. So I'm going to try and simplify this as much as possible for you, so you can pretty much look at this and know nothing about cars or electronics or whatever, and be able to go through this step by step, knock it out, install it in your car, and be on your way. All right, so let's break down what tools and things that we actually need to make this install possible. Hey guys, I just want to jump on here real quick because this is a very long video. If you want to see just what this thing looks like inside of your vehicle, skip all the way to about 51 minutes, 51:30. And you can just check it out and see if it's for you. The reason I made this video so long, it could have easily been 3 hours, but it's about an hour because I was thoroughly annoyed that I had to go through 5 separate videos, go back and forth with support in order to get something that was actually a step-by-step guide that somebody could follow to install this thing. So if you end up grabbing this, I promise you it's not that difficult with this video now. Or if you have something similar that you're inputting into your Audi A4, this video will save you so much time. I know it's an hour, that's a long time, but go step by step. I go through everything. So anyways, if you want to skip to the very end and just see what it looks like, skip to about 51 minutes, 30 seconds, depending on what I do with this edit. It might be 53 minutes now. Or if you are installing this thing, follow step by step. So hope this helps. All right, so first things first, you're gonna need obviously your computer or device or whatever you're watching me on. I'm going to use mine because I actually have the manual up in front of me, so I can go step by step and not mislead you. So let me put this to the side real quick and we can go over the other things. Obviously, we have the head unit here. If you end up watching this video and want this, of course, we have a link in the description. All these purchases, you can go through Karma Speed. This helps us out so we can continue to make videos like this. If not, if you don't think this is your cup of tea, but you want Apple CarPlay, check out the channel. There's a lot of different Apple CarPlay head units that we've installed in various different vehicles. One thing I want to point out before I get into what you actually need is I bought these on mistake. If you have like a 2015 or a different style, kind of like infotainment center, you might need these tools to pop out the actual radio. I'm not going to need these during this, so we'll drop a link in the description there just in case you actually need them. You're going to need a microfiber towel just to put over your gear lever so you don't, make any scratches or anything like that. You obviously need some coffee to stay energized. And let's go into some of the other things here. A good thing to have is a pair of scissors. You'll need these scissors if you've got some of these Velcro strips. This is a necessity. I want to do this to keep it clean. So you'll see I'll Velcro these to the back of this unit here just to make sure it's like sturdy and whatever. That way it's not flying around in the car if I start going hoon crazy. Obviously you'll need your keys. You'll need to put the vehicle in neutral. I'll show you something there in just a moment. So you'll need some trim tools here. Might vary different sizes. I'm going to go with these two. For now, these look like they'll do the most work. You're going to need a 8mm ratchet and extension there. That way you can pull off some of those bolts, obviously. And now this one's foggy to me, so I'm going to give you both. Bring a Phillips with you. Bring some torque bits with you. I wasn't too sure exactly if it was a Phillips or a Torque. I'm sure we'll find out, but it's better to have them all anyways, just in case somebody has like opened your head unit before and maybe they replaced the screw with, you know, a torque. So just have both just to be handy. And then if the ratchet doesn't get it done, just a kind of a handheld tool here. So that's everything we're gonna go through. So let's get into it. All right, so let's break into this box here. First things first, let's clean off this table. Let's put all these tools just, you know, in reach where we can grab them later. Coffee needs to stay on deck always. And what we'll do is open the box and see what we have here and go over all the little things. All right, so here's our box. You can see it from all different angles here. So very nice. They got kind of like the Apple thing going on. So the unit that you're going to be looking at here, you always have your instructions ready to go. These aren't the best instructions in the world. It's just kind of guidance. So when we open this up here, you'll have this multimedia video interface, exactly what I called it earlier. Spot on, look at that. And this is going to be very different from our other videos. It's just like a little module. It's just like a computer that you're going to be plugging into what you currently have set up in your car. So it's still, I would say it still requires the same amount of work, but less intrusive, I guess you could call it. So let's set that aside here on that pad there and dig into the rest. All right, so in this box, this is where the anxiety kicks in. So we'll go through all this and kind of what you need, what you don't need. So here you kind of have a screen overlay. I'm imagining this is for the touch ability. Now you've got a bunch of different wires here. Once again, this is where the anxiety kicks in. Don't get anxious. We're going to walk through this together. I'm going to stumble upon the way, but we won't put those stumbles in the cut just so you guys don't stumble. But just know, I'm going to stumble upon this, stumble along the way, and that's all right because I'm going to do the annoying stuff for you. That way, there's a clean edit afterwards, and it's easy for you. Okay, so we got a bunch of different wires here. So when you open up your box here, I don't want you to get overwhelmed or anything like that. Just know you got some things going on, and some things are going to be plugged in, some things aren't, depending on what kind of vehicle you have. For example, this one doesn't have a rear camera, so wherever that rear camera setup thing is, I will probably not be using it. There's an antenna there, there's a microphone, just your basic stuff. Now, a lot going on. Once again, don't get overwhelmed. That's everything that's in the box here. We don't have anything else, so we're going to start pulling things apart in the vehicle, and we'll go through step by step how to plug all of this stuff in. So let's change up our camera setup here and dive in. All right, so here we are in the Audi. This is take number 2 because I actually just discovered something that would be really annoying in the video, so let's talk about that real quick. But first of all, got all my tools in the passenger seat, extra camera, just in case we need to get up close and personal, so don't worry, that's not the only camera angle. We got our microfiber towel here and our keys. So now what you're going to want to do is put your car parking brake on and move your car into neutral. That way you can pull this stuff out. So I'm not going to do that just yet, only because if I do that, it's just going to be beeping the whole time. It's going to be very, very annoying. So we're just going to jump right to pulling some stuff out here and show you those steps. And when we start to get to the point where we need to pull this unit out, we'll see if we can make it work without throwing it in neutral. But just to make things easy, you can pop this thing back to neutral. So what we're going to do is we're going to take out this AC unit right here, or your AC controls. We'll just get that and pop that out here. Don't worry, you're not going to break anything. Just be gentle. It's Audi. It's Audi. It's not gonna break on you. Let's get these air vents out here. There we go. Let's work this along here. Let's get this side. There should be 2 clips over here. All right. Oops. Something small fell out there. Just a little piece of rubber. It's all right. And we just want to unclip this. All right, there we go. Let's prop that up there. So let's grab this one and curse my gigantic thumbs. We'll pop this down here. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. They didn't like that. And we got these down here. Looks like these just pop out. Not at all. Alright, so pull those red tabs. That's what I was thinking at first, but it wasn't budging. Let's pull this one out first. Oops, there we go. And then push that down. Alright. Pull out that red tab. Then there's this little tab here. Push that down. That should come on out. There we go. Alright, that's out. So now we've got 1, 2, red, blue, or 3, 4. 8mm bolts that we need to grab. So we'll grab our 8mm socket, our ratchet, and our extension. It's hiding. And we'll pull this out here. There we go. Let's pull this out. Go back to park and turn. Nope. There you go. Left my foot on the brake. Alright, so we got some wires back here, and so now we're at this different cam, and so we just got to pull these out for now, and then we'll sort them out here. Looks like that. Goes like there and pulls out. Alright, we got our head unit out. So that is probably one of the scariest parts, is pulling all that stuff out. So now what we're going to do is we're going to go pull open our manual, and we're going to figure out, all right, what goes where, what are we plugging in, what are we not plugging in. So let's go look at our manual real quick and then get to plugging stuff in. So we're going to move on to taking down the glove box here. We are going to need our radio removal tools, so these bad boys here. But before we use those, let me let you know where these screws are, because I went ahead and got a lot of these out, and then the day got away from me, and I had to take a break, and now we're back on a new day. So you have 2 screws under here. You're gonna have a plastic panel. You can pop that off with your pry tool here. You're gonna have 1 screw or bolt right there. Then inside, yours might be different depending on what kind of model you have, but you have 1, 2, 3 up top in front, and then I had 1, 2 behind those 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2. Now there's 1 more screw holding this in at the moment, and that's going to be this. I'm not too sure what this is. This unit right here, and there's 2 little slots left and the right. We're going to use those keys, your radio removal tools, to pull this out, and then there should be 1 bolt behind there. So let's go ahead and give that a try. I don't know if these are supposed to be facing inward or outward. Let's see. That sounded good, so let's try inward. Yep, okay, let's pull this out. Alright, there it is. Looks like we got a little plug back here. Just press that down. I'm going to set this in the back seat for now. Alright, let's see. We have 1 up top in a really weird spot. There we go. Alright. Just took a little bit of negotiating. And that's unplugged. That's good. That's good. Okay. So we about have the car pretty much ripped apart. We'll probably have to go back and just remove the screen. But just double checking this guide here. And actually, as I was doing this, I wanted to, let me not fumble the camera over. Wanted to show you something, which is the back of this module here. So this is the module that we got out of the box. You're gonna have these switches, right? And so what I want you to see is that your kit will also come with this manual, depending on which kind of car you have. So I have the A4, no MMI, wireless CarPlay installation diagram. All right. So one of the things that I was going to do, but it looks like I'm going to have to take out the screen anyways, so might as well do the touchscreen, even if I don't use it, right? Is not have the touchscreen on. So sorry for the shadow, but if you can see that these correspond with the dip switches, I guess they're called here, on your module. And they pretty much say on, off, depending on what you want to do, right? So number 1 has to do with the touchscreen, right? On would be for the touchscreen, off would be without the touchscreen. 2 looks like touch correction, return off correction, reverse tracking off, reverse tracking on, etc. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to go through this exactly on this vehicle because you can grab this for an A8, a Q5, or whatever you might have. So I don't want to mislead you with what I switch on here. But depending on what you want to set up, make sure you pay attention to this, and then you can see down here below 3, 5, 6, 7, no function, default off. So if you have an A4, 3, 5, 6, and 7 have no function, so keep them off. So what I'm going to do briefly is go back and just make sure I've got all this configured with the vehicle that I have and make sure it's all correct. And that way when I install it, I don't have any issues when it comes to using it. So I went ahead and did this off camera just because I was unsure about it at first, and then I realized, oh, okay, you just got to put some muscle into it. But essentially, to get to your screen, to configure the touch screen and all of that, you got to just pull this. There's no screws or anything holding on. You got to give it a little bit of muscle. It is a weird angle depending on which unit you have. You might have better leverage because I looked at some. They don't have this giant hood over it, so I was pulling from the bottom. You just got to give it some oomph. You also have a little silver plastic over here on this left side air vent that you could pop out beforehand. But you just got to give it some oomph and then it'll come right out. And then there's just a clip with some for these buttons right here that you just need to remove. So this can then just come out, right? And so on the back, just so you can see what's going on here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. Then over here, you have 1, 2, and then a bunch of these little plastic prongs that, depending on how old your car, might break, might not. How old your car is, sorry, incorrect grammar. So we got 4 little Torx screws. So I think I said at the beginning I wasn't too sure what these were going to be. Once again, you know, if somebody's worked on your car before, these might not be Torx anymore. So that's why I brought out the screwdriver, just to be prepared. I figured they probably were. So let's see what size we got here. So I got my little set. Let's say I'm gonna guess a 25, 27. I think I'm wrong. I should have went with 20. Yeah, I believe it's a 20. Oh, I don't think that's a 20. No, what's that? 25. Oops, wrong one. It's a 20. So we don't scratch anything else. I saw some people put like their microfiber right here to like not scratch the thing that gets pulled out, but I think everybody watched the same video and just, you know, they just kind of did it. But I don't know, if you're smooth, you don't really need to do that. I'm more concerned about this screen with my clumsy hands. And these plugs always need some enforcement. Alright, so we got the screen out here. Now we can start getting to work on what's next. Alright, so the very first cable that we're going to connect here is our, let me not mess up the acronym, LVDS. And where we're going to connect that is to the back of the screen. So you saw that we unplugged this bad boy right here from the back of the screen. So now we just need to convert it to the one that came in our kit, which would look something like this. You got these two connectors here, and then you've got your blue connector down here, just so you can refer to it later. And I believe what we'll want to do is connect this to the back of the screen and then thread our wire down. So you can see it looks like, I don't know, like a little mouth type thing. One prong or one insert on top, 2 on the bottom. So looks like we got the 2 inserts on the top, 1 on the bottom, so we just flip it over like this. And then we should be able to plug that in, like so. And then this one should connect to the one that we pulled out here. So I just want to make sure I don't scratch my screen again. And that it is the right way up, first of all. So let's make sure we can do that. And looks like we got the prongs there. And then the opening there. So it should go like this. So you have that little opening right there. That's going to go on the kind of the inside of this right angle. So let's plug that in with one hand. There we go. Alright, now we just have this cable that we need to run on down through. I've had to go through like full transparency. Like, I'm not good at this stuff. I usually just figure it out along the way. I've had to go through 5 separate videos on, you know, pulling the stuff apart. So hopefully, I mean, the filming hasn't been easy, but hopefully the post edit, I can make it useful for you so you don't have to go through 5 different videos. But you don't need to see exactly what I'm doing here. All I'm really trying to do is find an easy way to get this cable down here, and my fingers are huge, so you might find a better way, but let's see if I can get this to work, and that might be an option. Yep, there it is. So down through the side, there's a little hole right here, little opening down here. We'll just thread this down as much as we can, and then we'll go move on to the touch screen, which is the only challenge I'm having at the moment is what side is the touch and which side is the stick. So for the sake of my sanity, I'm actually going to opt out of this touch screen because I really can't figure it out. So I don't know which side's the sticky side. I watched one video and they just peeled the stuff off and stuck it. But honestly, like, it doesn't, I don't have any stick, and then it's a little bit too big for the actual screen itself, so maybe it needs to be cut. I don't know. I'm not too interested in having that touchscreen anyways, because you do have to reach pretty far. It's not like a touchscreen that's like right here. You have to reach pretty far to get that screen. So for the sake of my sanity, I'm not going to do the touchscreen, but if you are interested in doing the touchscreen, I will leave a link in the description with the video that I was watching where somebody did do a touchscreen, but their process seemed a lot easier. They just peeled it off and it worked. But I'm not having that right now. So what I'm going to do is just continue back, putting all of this back here, and then we'll get down to the wiring down here. So we got our main wire in there, and so now we just need to put this back in place and then get our screws properly in. We got our screen back in, so next thing that we need to do is, one, make sure that this wire stays down here, because that's going to need to plug into our vent there, but we need to put this big old piece back in. That's the only wire that we needed to connect to the back of that screen, and since I'm not doing the touch screen, we're all good, but we'll go back and fix that module here in just a second. So we just need to plug into this cord here to make sure that our hazards work. All right, so let's go over this. So we have our display here of kind of what we're supposed to be doing. We have our module. You can see it's lined up the same way. I've got my little blue in right there. Sorry, not blue, that's brown. And then what we're gonna do briefly is just make sure everything's matched up properly. So we've got right here, LVDS out. That's what we just connected to the screen. That's this one. So we'll connect the one that we just connected to the screen here. Then we got the microphone. So here's the microphone. So what I'm just going to do right now is just plug everything up. It might not stay there. It might have to come out to get things sorted. But there's our mic. It literally says mic right there. Then the next one over here is touchscreen cable. We're not using the touchscreen, so we won't do that. And now we have power. So power needs to connect to, I believe, what is currently in the car. If I'm not mistaken, we'll need to mess with some wiring there. But it should be this one, if I'm not mistaken. It should be like that. And we'll have to mess with these wires and get them connected properly. Then on the other side, we have Wi-Fi antenna. Wherever that thing went. Oh, there it is. Here we go. So we'll get that connected probably won't be using Wi-Fi. And then we have our USB cable, which is this one right here. So plug that in like so. That is correct there. Yep. Am I? Well, we just need to, oh, there it goes. Snug it up. So USB is now connected. Don't need RGB. There's another port for USB, and there's update. So these, I'm assuming, we don't necessarily need plugged into the module, but we may need them here in a moment. So let's get the module in the car and start plugging up these wires and then start getting everything organized. You should have that module, all those wires all mocked up for it. And that actually helps me out. You don't need to do it that way, but it helps me assess what I have left. So you're gonna have a few cords left over depending on if you did the touch screen or not. But one of the cords that you're gonna have left over is what we're gonna do to this glove box here. So you might not be able to see it very well on camera. Let me see if I can turn some extra light on here. So here's that cord that you're gonna have left over. You're gonna have a brown, black, then you have a few extra wires here going on, and then this gray piece. So this is what we're gonna do over here. Now on this side, we should have a bright red one, like so, right here. So I wanna make sure, we just wanna unplug this. We're gonna plug it back into our other module. So we replace red with brown. See? So we'll plug in our brown. That thing needs some convincing for sure. Then we'll plug the red into the black here. Like so. There we go. And now we should have this gray here. So let's get this tucked in like that. And then this gray is going to connect to our module here that we have mocked up. You can't see it because it's over here in the center console. But if you mocked it all up, you'll have this cable sticking out. It's going to connect right there. I'm not going to do that just yet. I want to make sure that I have everything kind of like organized. So I'm going to clean up first here. I'm going to make sure I have everything organized. I'm going to show you one more thing that we'll need to do. And then we'll get everything connected. So let's do that. Another wire that you're going to have left over that we didn't. Hey, I'm editing this back right now, and I want to just pause right here. You can skip this next part if your vehicle was similar to mine. I actually had to take a week off because I had to grab another part. So if you do not have just a typical aux plug-in, and what you have is like an AMI, MMI, I talk about it here in this video, you have to plug in that MMI, AMI connector to an aux to be able to listen to music. That's what I had. You're gonna need to go grab this connector. I left it in the description. It's like $5 or something like that on Amazon. Grab that connector, and then you'll totally bypass this part. Skip ahead in the video or watch it. Just don't pay any attention to what I'm doing. Don't follow my steps. Essentially what I'm doing is I'm taking out a connector that came from the factory radio, and I'm plugging in a connector that came with the kit. You don't need to do this part if you grab the AMI, MMI aux connector. You'll see exactly what I'm talking about. But if you fall into this category, don't do this part. If you have a typical, just plug in an aux and you're ready to go, follow this part. Mock up is this one here. It's blue. Yours might be another color depending on if they get crazy with their plastics or something. But it should have like a little aux cable to the other side of it. So you got blue and aux on it. So here's our module. That's on camera. I can't tell right now. Here's our module. And we have everything mocked up. So the only cords that I don't have at the moment is one sitting over on the table, and the second one being the touchscreen, which I'm not going to do. What we need to do is, this is our like main input to the radio that we pulled out. we need to replace blue with blue. So if you can see this right here, we've got a little blue. We need to replace blue with blue. So we're just gonna pop this out and then replace this blue one. So I struggled with this for a second, but the best way to do this is grab a little pick or small, preferably not sharp so you don't damage it, but there's a little tab at the very top here. Just push that up and then press this bad boy out. It's really difficult because my fingers are fat. Shouldn't have ate all that pasta last night, that's for sure. Okay, so that's out. Let's grab our other one here. So, and it's snug. Great. All right, so we can tuck this blue one away somewhere. And now we have kind of all of our wires. It looks like a mess right now. All of our wires kind of configured. So now that we have this one in, we've got our module mocked up. We've got the wires connecting under our glove box there. So now what I'm going to do is just take a second and get all organized, and then we can start putting some stuff together. Got everything kind of not super organized, but at least I know where everything goes. So before I start threading wires here through specific places, that way I can get this mounted properly, I do not trust myself with wiring whatsoever. And because of that, I'm going to just plug everything in, turn the vehicle on, make sure everything works, and then I'll unplug it and then get everything situated, plug it back in, and then we're good to go. So very first thing I'm going to do is take this wire here, take this wire. Remember our crazy loom that we had going on? I don't have cameras or anything, so these are obsolete to me, I believe. I'm going to plug this into here. Now this is the cable that we just plugged into the main. Okay, so we got that plugged up. I've got my gray here, and I've got my gray here connected to the module that's in the passenger seat. I'm going to plug that up. There we go. So let's see. I've got everything connected to this loom here. On the other side, I've got my USB. That's totally separate. That doesn't need to be connected to anything right now. And then I need my screen, which is somewhere around here. There it is. I need to connect my screen to the module. So we want LCD out, which is our green one. So let's get that connected here. That's connected. So now what we'll do is grab our, I guess this would be considered the radio. And now what we want to do is plug all of our things and such here. So it's actually been a few days because I did run into an issue, which I'll explain here. The audio wasn't working when I was turning on the Apple CarPlay, and actually after talking to support, what's needed is this right here, which is an adapter for, I believe it's called AMI to aux. So this model doesn't come with like, you know, an aux input output so you could like listen to music on your phone. It has this AMI/MMI thing, which would connect to like a USB, but it still wouldn't play audio. So essentially what we have to do is plug this in and then plug the aux into the actual unit itself. So let's do that, because before, that's the microphone, what we have is the sound, the auxiliary, plugged into the main, I guess we call this main loom here. I know it's kind of hard to see. So we had this plugged into the main loom. So essentially we can take this now out and plug in our new piece, which will be connected elsewhere, which I'll show you in just a moment. So let's go ahead and do that. I know it's a mess right now. So here's our module. This will be disconnected for now. Remember, this is going to our main power loom. We don't need that anymore. We now have our AMI/MMI connector here, which on the other end is an aux male end. And what we're going to do is, if your Audi is similar to this one, you have this kind of like unit in it. What's it say on there? Oops. Let's not break it. Audi music interface. You'll have this little door, and we're just going to plug this into there in order to run the audio. So it's actually kind of intuitive. So wires bent in this way, So we're just going to plug it in like that. There we go, that's plugged in. And now we can go ahead and run this cord to here. Plug this in. Now what we're going to do is, maybe we can get away with it or maybe not. We actually don't need this cord at all, so what I'm going to do is pop this out and plug in the old one, which will not be used anymore. There we go. And then here's the old one. There we go. Alright, and now this full loom can be plugged into the back here, but first we gotta unlock this. Like so. There you go, I accidentally hit a button. Alright, that's all plugged in. We've got our connection here, so we should get audio now when we set up Apple CarPlay. I'm going to unplug this charging cable because it is just a mess in here. Alright, so let's go ahead, close the doors, test it out. We've got everything plugged in properly. Now, before we go over to Apple CarPlay, what we need to do in the original settings, as you can see on the screen, this should be what your original setup looks like, is we just need to make sure the audio is selected to the aux now. Now that we got that connector, it looks like the system is reading external audio source active. That's great. So now what we need to do is transition back to our multimedia interface, which will present Apple CarPlay. And the way we do that supposedly is holding down the mode button on our steering wheel. There it goes. It's on. It looks like I got Eminem and Royce the 5'9" ready to play. And there it goes. So we have audio. So now we can navigate through Apple CarPlay with our controls on the wheel. Your controls down here won't work anymore. That's all right. If you installed the touchscreen, of course, you'd be able to touch up here. I didn't want to do that because this, for me, this screen's just really small, and just like coming up here to like touch stuff is just, it's a hazard. So I just didn't want to. So on your steering wheel controls, the little left side wheel is how you navigate through things. So if I scroll all the way down, it's going to pop me out, then I can go through my apps. So it's not like, you know, it's not the quickest thing in the world, but it's also actually kind of quicker because you could just be driving, looking out the window and scroll through this. So now we have Apple CarPlay all set up. We've got our map, so we can click into this, and then we can come down to search here, I bet, and then we can go to, you seeing exactly where I live. Come down here and then scroll through the letters and select those, or we can come back. Oops. There we go. Come down to these apps here. We can go back to music, and there we have Bad Meets Evil. This is old music. Wow. Block Boy JB. Okay, so we've got some really old music on here. So we can go back here and scroll all the way through all this stuff. So yeah, it's pretty nice. So now what we're going to do, we know it's working. We know it plays audio. Now we have to clean up this mess, and I'm just going to go through briefly how to do all that. Okay, so one of the things that we need to do before we just plug everything back in is we just need to, because originally we mocked everything up, right? So we got wires coming out of here and in the wrong places. So what we're going to do is one by one unplug these and just thread them through the right way. Like this one, for example, it's coming in behind this unit. It's connected to the screen. So what is that? Our LCD out. So we just need to take this wire out, reroute it to where it's going to be non-invasive, and then plug it back in, and then we'll just go one by one. So let's go start with that one, this LCD out. And in order to do that, and we'll come back and do the mic and everything. In order to do that, I'm going to jump to the other side. So we got our LCD. We're just going to unplug this. Make sure that it is not in the way. There's got to be an opening on this side to get it down through the glove box, because that's where our multimedia interface is going to live. So you can just literally pull this through here, and then we're now just going to reconnect it. So I'm going to actually unplug everything else that is kind of in the way for now, so even the audio. And let's see, do I need to unplug this one? Do not need to unplug this one. So we've got the main plugged in, we've got LCD out, now plugged in. Remember, we didn't need our reverse camera and all that. So let's just make sure we get this all cleaned up and organized. This is our aux down here. We've got our main power coming out the right way. We've got our USB, and I guess now we can actually plug in our, nope, that's not mic, sorry. Oops, this goes right here. Our audio, like so. We might need to mess with that later, we'll see. And let's reroute this microphone actually. What I'm gonna do is, because I want the microphone near the steering wheel, is I'm gonna try my best to route this over on the driver's side and route this wire behind this through the side so we can plug it into the interface. I mean, that's kind of ghetto, but who cares, right? Especially if you got an old Audi and it's just an Audi to you. It's not something special. Let's see. Maybe we can get a little bit more a little bit more clean here. Where's my trim tool? We'll use this for now. Hopefully don't break anything. There we go. There we go. We just run that up into there. Look at that. So we actually have this right here, kind of behind the steering wheel, not so much. So it's not really visual from like where I'm sitting. I can't see it at all. But I bet you that would pick up some good sound. It's better than trying to run this thing all the way through. Like if you got some time and you really don't mind, start ripping up some panels and place it somewhere that's like really nice. But honestly, if you just want the mic, just drop it right there. It'll be good. So what I'm gonna do is run this wire over top of these little tabs, because that's where the vents are gonna go, and drop it down here. Let me see, do I see a hole to the other side? I do. And I'm gonna run it through that hole. Let me just make sure it's not gonna get in the way. Nope. Okay. All right, now we can plug the mic in to our wire mess down here. So now we have all of our wires plugged back in. Now what we need to do is start cleaning up our mess from left to right. So we got the wires out of the way. So now we're gonna pop this, I don't know what it's called anymore. It's at the end of the day, I'm losing my brain, my mental space. We need to pop this bad boy back in, and then go ahead and, before I even plug in the rest of this, I wanna get the glove box and everything sorted. All right, let's give this one a little. Great, so we have this back in. We have these wires down here for our other thingy, this thing right here. We won't worry about that just yet. What I want to do before we put everything back together is handle what we have going on over there. So let's do that. The one thing that we haven't used yet, well, there's a lot of things we haven't used, but one of the things that we haven't used is this Velcro. So this is where this is going to come in handy, because we're going to want to make sure that this isn't rolling around all over the place. We have to unplug the audio here, because let's call this unit our MMI. I believe that's probably the proper name for it anyways. It's actually going to go into our glove box. So before we can even mess with that, we actually need to unplug it and throw it back into our glove box and then reconnect it. So we just need to unplug it back here. Get our glove box up a little bit. open this bad boy up. And there's no weight there, so this will take a fortnight to open. Alright, and then we just need to slide this unit back in here. We still got our MMI to aux adapter connected. There we go. Alright, that should be... Alright, that's solid in there now because we had to use those tools before to get that out. So now we should be able to plug this back in. Let's make sure I got the right. Yep. Alright, that's in there. So I'm going to cut off some of this, I guess this insulation here, just because that's a really good place for this interface to sit. I'm liking it. Yeah. But I don't want this insulation to like clog up the fans that are on it. I have the thing burn out on me. So I'm just going to remove this. Just completely okay. It's not like it's crazy important. They put it there, so it's probably pretty important, but we're rebels. Who cares? And then I'll probably trim that a little bit more so it's not in the way. That looks like a decent spot right there. So what I'm going to do is grab my Velcro here. And this stuff's nice. Love this. So grab a couple of pieces here. And I like to just go ahead and attach them as I cut them so they're the same size. There's one. And let's attach it. And there's two. I'm pretty sure this Velcro is like rated to hold a small child, so there's really no fear of it going all over the place. So what I'm just gonna do here, just make sure this is all lined up. It's such a satisfying noise. There we go. Perfect. Undo the 3M on the back. I'm just gonna plop that down right towards the edge. Great. Let's grab our other one and cut this one just right. It's out of the way of the switches, and I'm not gonna put it over that code there. So just like that. Okay, so we have this on. We know our power needs to go here, so we want this to face this way. Our LCD out. So LCD out, our power, and then we've got our microphone on that side as well. Microphone's also coming from there. Nothing should be coming from this side, I don't believe, because we didn't use the USB. Where's the USB go? I lied. USB goes on this side. That's okay, because we can just thread that through the back here. So got USB on this side. That's actually perfect because we're not like landlined over here, and so we just want to place it just like that. That way we can still plug everything in. Our USB can still go out and back into the glove box. Bada bing, bada boom. All right. So we've got our power, we've got our audio. We'll need to get this a little bit closer before we can get that hooked up. Let's make sure we got our USB on there, and we'll run our USB actually down through the same place we ran our aux cord. I think if we move this wire out of the way, it's okay. It's not hurting anything. Bend that. Yeah, there we go. Run the USB side through there, and then you should be able to fit everything through. Perfect. Now if we need to plug in the USB for some reason, like our Bluetooth goes out, we can just plug up into the glove box. There we go. USB officially connected. Give that some space. I had to do that off of camera. I was in a full-blown wrestling match. But let me talk you through what the issue was. So where I placed the multimedia interface, the unit, was actually rubbing up against kind of a bracket down here. And so you just kind of have to like, so we had it positioned long ways. Just position it horizontal and move it over a little bit. You'll see a bar comes down over here, bar comes down over here. And that unit was right under that bar, so the thing couldn't press up all the way. Once you move it over a little bit and you mess with the wires, you'll just have to move them a little bit. Then you should be able to push this up fairly smoothly. If you're struggling with it, you'll be like me and you'll be cursing at it trying to figure out what the heck's going wrong. It's just because the thing's in the way. Just move it over a little bit, play with it. It should go up fairly easily. Then once you get it up here, I just have one bolt on this side, one bolt down here, just to hold it steady while I put in the rest of the bolts here. So let's do that. So we got the glove box put back in here. You can see this is our aux cable. It's connecting to this multimedia piece. If I can open this right there, that's connected up to our interface up top. Then we've got our USB that now comes down in here. Pretty much what we can do is just close this and we're all back to normal. So let's go back to our, I guess, center console here. I guess not really center console. Our center, and plug in the rest of the stuff that we unplugged earlier. Alright, we are back where we started. So we're going to plug in our air vents here. Remember, we have this little cable that just needs to plug in up top. I'm going to try and move this wire out of the way. This is our microphone wire that I ran down into the glove box there. So we're going to have a fun time getting this reconnected. Sorry if you can't see that, I'm in the way. That's all connected, and then this should just press right back into place as I break it. Like I said, as easy as that. Hopefully, oh, we gotta get up under there. There we go. We are back to normal. Boom, boom, boom. Great. It just slides up under that piece right there if you're having a tough time getting that back in. Alright, now we have the rest of our things down here. Heated seats and all that good stuff. We just want to plug in these wires. I would move this out of the way, but I don't want to listen to the dong, dong from the car. So plug that in, and then there's this red tab. Just go ahead. Once you got that plugged in all the way, you can push that down. Same thing with the other one. It's going to be hard to show you. So now we should be able to turn the car on. And if all of our wiring held up back there, now if that comes up, we just hold down. Let's wait for everything to get situated here. Turn our air off. Zoop. Hold down the mode button. It transitions to our new setup. If you don't have the touch screen, use the, there we go. Use the wheel on your steering wheel, and let's play Block Boy JB. OG status. Look at that. Look at that. It all works perfect. Now, it's an old screen, so the resolution isn't going to be the most amazing thing in the world, but what annoyed me the most about this car is that I didn't have Apple CarPlay, and I couldn't listen to my music, and I couldn't navigate where the heck I was going. I had to like prop up my phone down here. So that's everything that goes into this thing, and honestly, it's probably about the same work as if you're going to replace this, the entire screen in general. What I like about it is that it's, you know, it just plugs in, right? Let me rephrase that. It doesn't just plug in. A lot of work was involved there, but it's like, it doesn't look like it's, it doesn't look like it's not supposed to be there. That's a double negative. It looks like it just came with the car. And that's what I kind of like about it. It keeps it unique. And this is a little bit cheaper than if you're going to go replace the whole thing. I'm not too sure what the exact price on it. We'll leave a link in the description and if you want to grab it. But it's cheaper than grabbing the entire head unit and the entire screen and everything. And it's probably the same amount of work, if to be completely honest with you. I think in the beginning I called it non-invasive. It was pretty damn invasive. But it's going to be the same amount of work as if you're going to replace the entire screen. And if you're on a budget and you need to save that $200, I think is probably the difference, $300, then I'd grab one of these because it actually works kind of nice, and it's just functional. I just need the navigation and I need my music. That's about it. So anyways, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you grab one of these with the link in the description, it helps us out at Karma Speed. If not, you're not going to hurt my feelings. But I needed to do this for myself. And so I reached out to a company that had one of these things because I'm like, hey, I want to do this kind of like on the cheap. And so I figured, let me just record the entire thing and see if anybody else is interested in this. And yeah, and then we'll post it on Karma Speed and see if anybody wants it. So hope you enjoyed the video. I hope if you do grab one of these, this video saves you a lot of headache because it did take me about 5 videos and about a week to get this in just because of scheduling and all of that good stuff. But anyways, hope you enjoyed.